Hello once again, my movie peeps. We are now on day 2 of CinemaCon, and on day 2, Lionsgate decided to take the stage for their movie announcements, and part of me thought I wasn't even going to do a recap video on the things Lionsgate was going to talk about. I saw their upcoming films for this year, and most of them had already had trailers, posters, and details revealed, so I was like, that's probably not going to be anything new. Oh, they revealed a lot of new things. And so that's what I'll be doing here for you, is I'll recap the Lionsgate panel. I'll have timestamps in the description if you want to go ahead and skip around. Be sure to also check out yesterday's video where I recapped Warner Brothers' panel, and also stay tuned on the channel for panels for Universal, Paramount, and Disney. But alright, kicking things off here, let's talk about something that was revealed the day before the Lionsgate panel, but is about a Lionsgate movie. I was hoping at CinemaCon Lionsgate would address what is going on with Saw 11, because that was a movie that was set to come out September of this year, but they had not started filming it yet. And I had a gut feeling they were going to end up delaying the movie, and that's exactly what got announced yesterday. The movie got delayed an entire year, having Saw 11 now be released September 26, 2025. And we are not getting a Saw movie this year. What the heck? They even released a little video with Billy the Puppet talking to the audience.
I want to play a game. You've all anticipated my return, asking when I may appear before you once more. But anticipation is a funny thing. My associates and I are hard at work, refining a cacophony of new traps to razor-sharp perfection. You should expect nothing less. These traps will be made all the better with just a little time. The clock is ticking. Will you play my waiting game? Your time starts now.
And look, yes, part of me is devastated and crushed because Saw X was awesome and it got me back on board to the Saw franchise, so I was like, yes, give me more good Saw movies. But there was rumors and whispers that the creative heads and the studio were actually fighting back and forth on what Saw 11 should be. And that's said to be one of the reasons why they didn't start filming the movie yet, is because they didn't have a story locked down. And well, it looks like Lionsgate and the studio heads decided, let's take our time and make sure we get this right. And that is like a first for the Saw franchise. Usually they cash these things out so quickly and they could care less about the story. But I think Saw X really proved that if you actually made a good Saw movie, not only will it actually make money, but you'll get fans excited for the franchise again. So instead of just forcing them to get the story done and rush this movie so it could be released this year, they were like, fine, we'll wait one more year and be sure we deliver on a good Saw movie. So I think that's good news, but it just sucks we have to wait a whole year for Saw. But now getting on to the things that were announced and revealed during the CinemaCon Lionsgate panel, one quick thing is they talked about Now You See Me 3. This is the third film in the Now You See Me franchise with the Thief Magicians. I actually kind of like this series, and they confirmed that all the characters from the first movie will be returning here, along with a new generation of magician thieves. So that should be exciting for fans of Now You See Me. Then they also confirmed that we are going to be getting a live-action Monopoly movie that is produced by Margot Robbie. Ever since the release of the Barbie movie and that giant success, Margot Robbie has been collecting board games and toy brands like Infinity Stones. There was reports a couple of days ago online that she's going to be also making a live-action Sims movie. And now here with this Monopoly movie, Margot Robbie is just trying to get her hands on all these properties, and I don't blame her. There's no word yet if Margot Robbie will actually star in the movie. She's just producing it. But man, a live-action Monopoly movie has been trying to get made for a long time, whether it's the story about how the game Monopoly was created or a movie just based on the Monopoly game. I think Kevin Hart at one point was supposed to be the star of this Monopoly movie. Now I have no idea what's actually going on, but as of right now, it's a live-action movie with Margot Robbie producing, so that's a little exciting. But the thing that really got me excited and made me go, oh yeah, I'm going to make a video talking about this CinemaCon panel, is that Jason Blum, the head of Blumhouse Studios, announced they will be partnering with Lionsgate to reboot a lot of their iconic horror movies. Now that immediately made me go to Lionsgate's library of horror movies that they have, and there's a couple of them that I could see Blumhouse maybe touching, you know, like American Psycho, Cabin Fever, the Leprechaun franchise, even though that's already getting a reboot, Descent, Hostel. There's a couple of well-known horror franchises that I feel are right up Blumhouse's alley, but the first one that they will be touching as part of this new deal is the Blair Witch Project. Jason Blum said this on the partnership: "I'm very grateful to Adam and the team at Lionsgate for letting us play in their sandbox. I'm a huge admirer of the Blair Witch Project, which brought the idea of found footage horror to mainstream audiences and became a true cultural phenomenon. I don't think there would have been a Paranormal Activity have there not have first been a Blair Witch. So this feels like a truly special opportunity, and I'm excited to see where it leads." And look, I'm a little conflicted on this because I love the Blair Witch franchise. I even have a soft spot for that second movie, but maybe it's because I saw it too young. And yes, they did have a reboot of it already back in 2015, 2016 that I thought was just okay. But that first Blair Witch movie, it was a cultural phenomenon. It changed things, maybe because at the time, a lot of people thought it was real. I know I did as a kid. But it also feels like one of those movies that is impossible to capture the magic of again. People also bring up the way Blumhouse likes to reboot and touch iconic properties like Halloween or even the recent Exorcist franchise, and they get a little hesitant with them now touching Blair Witch and probably wanting to do a new trilogy. I feel like this could work better for Blumhouse since the Blair Witch movies are basically made on a low budget, and that's Blumhouse's specialty is low budget horror movies. I hope they end up doing a good job, but I would hate this to be just a generic, basic, found footage horror movie set in the woods with a little Blair Witch imagery. Like, go deeper into this lore and the world and bring back Blair Witch mania. But it was just interesting to hear Blumhouse is going to be rebooting a lot of horror movies connected to Lionsgate. If you guys know any horror movies Lionsgate owns that you like Blumhouse to touch, which of them would they be? From there, they quickly brought on Henry Cavill on stage to talk about his upcoming Highlander movie. This is a reboot of that popular franchise, and although they obviously didn't have any footage to show just yet, Henry Cavill just said this about the movie: "My goodness me, what are we doing? The original movie just touched on the lore. We are going deep into the meaning of these characters. If you thought you've seen me do sword work before, you haven't seen anything." So that should be exciting for Highlander fans. While Henry Cavill was on stage, they also made an announcement for a new Guy Ritchie movie titled The Grey. This stars Henry Cavill and Jake Gyllenhaal, where the movie is described as, the film's tagline is, "When billions are stolen, they are the ones who steal them back." The team is coming after a notorious kingpin with funny quips and banter shared between the three leads. The action includes speedboat races and car chases in a tropical setting. Ritchie's signature comedic charm is present, with Cavill and Gyllenhaal macho characters chewing up the scenery. We also have a quick glimpse of a mysterious character played by Rosamund Pike. So that could be interesting. Guy Ritchie, Henry Cavill, Jake Gyllenhaal, that sounds like fun to me. From there, they dived into talking about movies that we have already seen trailers for, just with extended sequences, so I won't spend too much time on that. One was an extended sequence for the upcoming Crow movie with Bill Skarsgård. Obviously, when that trailer hit online, there was a lot of divisive opinions, but the audiences there are saying they loved what they saw. They got an extended look of Bill Skarsgård in the action scenes, along with the creatives talking about how they're going to do more of a focus on the graphic novel, really build out the relationship between the couple before they die, and they said a lot of the action scenes reminded them of a bloody John Wick movie. Then the Borderlands movie also got an extended trailer and sequences revealed to audiences where they said it looks like a whole lot of fun. I myself was surprised when that first Borderlands trailer came out. I wasn't someone who was a fan of the video game, and I really wasn't looking forward to the film, but the movie actually looks like it could be something enjoyable, and it's nice to know other footage that audiences got to see did get them a little excited. Then they were also given an extended sequences for The Strangers Chapter 1. They emphasized during this panel that this movie really is going to be an origin story for the Strangers. That's the thing that has me most hesitant about this film, but other than that, all the creepy little sequences that they're building up seem like they could be very memorable, and I agree from the trailer and what we have seen about it, it looks like although they're telling the exact same story from the original movie, they're adding in more horrifying set pieces, and I'm hoping that's what helps it stand out from the original. But from here is where they then started talking about a whole bunch of movies none of us have heard about that all sound actually like a lot of fun. First off, here we have a Halle Berry horror movie titled Never Let Go. We got a good description of the footage that goes, the story centers around three characters, Barry's mother character and her two sons, who live in an extremely unique situation in the middle of a remote forest. They lock themselves indoors and try their best to avoid going outside except for resources and occasional fresh air. They have ropes tied around their waist at all times when they're outside, which lead back to the house in case they stray too far. The reason why they tie the ropes is because there is a mysterious, monstrous force that lives in the forest. The few glimpses we see of the beast make it look like a pale human-like demon who can shapeshift. As the two boys are forced to follow their mother's protective rules, they grow more suspicious of what the forest demon's motives really are, as it's been toying with them their whole lives. One of the boys says, "Mom has never lied to us." The boys wonder if they could unearth themselves from the rope. As soon as they do, one of them gets dragged into a well. The look of the film feels like A Quiet Place and Bird Box, all with sinister undertone. The footage ends with Barry's mother heading into the woods to look for her kids. Then she sees a demon climbing up a large tree trunk, only seeing the horrifying image of a set of hands multiplying over and over again from the back of the tree. So this sounds like an interesting horror movie. A family that's in this house in the middle of the woods. They tie ropes so they can go get resources and then go back into the house. But this has been the kids' whole lives, and they start to not believe the mom and go, is she lying to us? Is there actually even a monster out there? Let's just take off these ropes and see actually what's out there. And well, the boys find out, and then the mom has to go rescue them. This sounds like it could be a cool horror movie. Next up, they were shown a trailer for another upcoming movie titled Flight Risk. This is starring Mark Wahlberg and is directed by Mel Gibson. The description of it goes, Dockery is a U.S. Marshal flying a witness, Topher Grace, to testify against the mob. But the pilot of the plane is a psychotic hitman played by Mark Wahlberg, playing way against his type. He even shaved his head to look like he has a bald pat. Looks like a really tight kick-ass thriller, and Gibson really makes Wahlberg look crazy in this, scored by a cover of Talking Heads' Psycho Killer. So feel how you feel about Mel Gibson, I understand that, but this seems like an interesting role for Mark Wahlberg. Even the description saying that he shaved his head to where he only has like hair on the sides, looking like George Costanza. Topher Grace in there also makes me excited for this. That sounds like it could be an interesting movie. I like these self-contained action movies, and all of it set on a plane with crazy hitman trying to go after this witness could be good. Next up here is for an R-rated comedy that sounds like so much fun. It is being directed by Aziz Ansari. It is starring Seth Rogen and Keanu Reeves, and the description of it goes, Ansari is a broke guy who goes to work for a rich a-hole, played by Rogen. Reeve plays an angel, even has wings. He's a effed up angel who wants to save Ansari from killing himself. So what he does is he swaps Ansari and Rogen's lives, but Reeves thinks Ansari will realize that wealth won't solve his problems, but Ansari loves being rich and won't go back to where he was before. The idea backfires so much, it costs Reeves his wings, so now they're three guys, Rogen, Ansari, and Reeves, all stuck together. Looks hilarious and might become a huge hit. That sounds like an awesome premise for a movie. Not only do you have Keanu Reeves playing this angel, but then you do the body swapping thing where you're supposed to learn the lesson that the grass isn't always greener, but this time you go from poor to rich. You're like, yeah, I don't want to swap back. Let me stay here, and the angel loses his job. I also love that they described this as an R-rated comedy, and Ansari on stage was really howling about R-rated comedies belong in theaters. They don't need to be on streaming, something like Ricky Stenicki, and I love that kind of mindset, and I've always been an admirer of Aziz Ansari's comedy. I think he's a really funny person, so something like this I am for sure going to be looking forward to. Good Fortune, remember that movie. Another movie that from the description sounds like it's going to be so much fun is called The Killer's Game. This is going to be starring Dave Bautista, and wait till you hear this premise. So the description of it goes, based on Jay Bonsonga's novel, The Killer's Game follows a veteran assassin, Bautista, who is diagnosed with a life-threatening illness and authorizes a hit on himself to avoid the pain that is destined to follow. But soon after, he finds out he was misdiagnosed and must fend off an army of former colleagues trying to kill him. They describe this movie as being like John Wick, but as a comedy. So many movies nowadays are being described as John Wick-like films. That is just the impact John Wick has had in the industry. But that sounds like an awesome premise. Dave Bautista thinks he's dying, doesn't want to go through the pain of slowly dying, so he's like, I'm gonna just put a hit on myself. Best man can take me out. And then he gets a call from his doctor going, yeah, we kind of messed up, man. You're actually gonna live. And now he's forced to fight off all these hitmen he just sent on himself. That right there sounds like a good time at the theaters. From there, Lionsgate wanted to end off with their two biggest movies that they're excited for, starting off with the John Wick spin-off movie, Ballerina, where they did reveal some footage that people were raving about and saying that it looks like it fits perfectly into the John Wick universe. Reading the description of the footage, it says here, Lionsgate debuted the first ever footage from the John Wick spin-off Ballerina. We see the origins of Ana de Armas' new lead as she's taken in by the Rasuka Roma crime family and trained to be an elite assassin. She admires John Wick from a distance as he grows in notoriety in his own story, but doesn't get to actually meet him face to face until she goes on her own adventure. The snowy setting implies that our ballerina travels to Russia to dive deeper into the history and connections to another rival crime family whom she is seeking to destroy from the outside. In this journey, she meets another grungy-looking assassin played by Norman Reedus, who warns her that she might be in over her head with her ambitions. Continuing on, the action of Ballerina is on par with the rest of the John Wick franchise, with Ana de Armas clearly being active in her own insane stunts. We see her pop other assassins' bones out of their elbows with brute force, burn goons alive with a huge flamethrower while on top of a vehicle driving in the snow, and stuffs grenades in her foe's mouth during fight sequences. Since the spin-off takes place between the third and fourth John Wick film, Ana de Armas gets to share the screen with Keanu Reeves without breaking continuity. She calls for the Baba Yaga while on her quest, and he arrives in an epic shot of him coming off a train in the snow. She asks John Wick, how do I start doing what you do? And his answer is simple. It looks like you already have. Ooh, okay, I'm not gonna lie. I had my hesitations with this Ballerina spinoff. I didn't mind them expanding out the John Wick universe, but I was worried how they would pull it off, especially when they delayed the movie an entire year because they were saying the action scenes weren't up to par with the other John Wick movies, and they were gonna infuse more action. Looks like maybe there was just a couple of things they wanted to fix. In CinemaCon, they specifically mentioned there was just a couple of big set pieces they wanted to add to the movie, but most of what the footage shows was what was already in the film, and it sounds like the action is great, so that could be a good time. And it's good to see Norman Reedus in there. Keanu Reeves is going to be making an appearance, so I'm looking forward to Ballerina now. Then they decided to end things off with giving audiences their first look to the upcoming Michael Jackson biopic, and from all accounts it's sounding like it's really good. So it was a trailer that was cut up of different sequences, but the main thing people are mentioning from this biopic is it looks like they were really able to capture the magic of Michael Jackson. The movie is going to feature over 30 different songs from Michael Jackson's career. They really praised Jafar Jackson, the nephew of Michael Jackson, portraying him in this movie, and they also say that the trailer does hint at some of the darker things Michael Jackson was going through. Things like his sleeping pill addiction and even hinting at the allegations he faced. Since Michael Jackson's family is the ones making the movie, I think it'll still come out more on the positive side, but kudos to them for tackling that. And as someone who did grow up as a big Michael Jackson fan, loving a lot of his music, I'm actually really curious to see this movie. And it's nice to know that the visuals and performance of it are really meeting up to the standards of Michael Jackson, and that's kind of a high bar. But anyways, guys, that is all that happened right now at Lionsgate CinemaCon panel. A lot of stuff revealed. I know a lot of movies that aren't exactly IP properties. Be sure you stay tuned on the channel for the other panels. Tell me what you like the most. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.